So I always say that the world is a beautiful place. The world is a beautiful place, but the people in it, sometimes we encounter very negative individuals due to the way that they was raised, the environment that, they grew up in. A lot of people have suffered a lot of trauma, a lot of disturbance, because sometimes people aren't given this manual, for life. And we learn as we go, just like we go to certain workplaces and we're hired to do certain positions, yet we don't know. And sometimes the people that are positioned in these places, they are not willing to basically tell us and train us properly the way that they should. So we end up having to learn as we go in the majority of these workplaces. They'll give you the paperwork and everything like that so that you can open up, that guide, that manual, that policy, whatever it is in the workplace. However, you have to basically go along and figure it out by yourself. And that's basically what life is. We have to figure this thing out called life. As children, we lean on our parents or caregivers to show us the way. At the same time, we as children, we don't know that the parents as well are trying to basically learn as they're learning as they're going. Everybody's learning as they're going. And as we learn as we go, we are growing. And that's the beautiful part about life. However, a lot of us, we choose to grow, and then others, they choose to be stagnant and stay in, that comfortable place where they don't know that. And trust me, it's so broad to the point that, it's a structure that it's a structure. I'm trying to find the words to say, because this is video I've been trying to create it for a week or so. So I'm trying to find the right words to say, and I'm going in the wrong direction perhaps. But my point is, a lot of people, we make mistakes. We make mistakes as we, walk throughout life. We have to learn as we go, so we'll make mistakes, but are we being corrected by the mistakes that we make? The thing is, we have to correct these mistakes. If we don't correct these mistakes, we're going to constantly repeat it. I personally don't like to repeat my mistakes. Fool me once, but not twice, because when you are basically heartbroken or face some traumatic situation under the sun, it's like, okay, that one time that broken heart did it for me. That one time that locked up situation did it for you. So you're like, yo, I was incarcerated or, caged and confined for years or a month or 2 weeks or 24 hours, whatever it may be. And there's individuals that would say, hey, I'm never going to do that again. And they will be scared by that. Whereas other individuals, they are in this environment which basically makes it harder to get out of certain situations and certain circumstances due to the simple fact is that structure that I'm referring to. Call it racial structure or, whatever type of structure. The structure of man, the structure that was planted so that certain individuals are not elevated in society by basically placing them in certain communities and environments to keep them at the bottom of the, you know what I'm saying, to keep them at the bottom or whatever the case is, versus to elevate them so that they may see their true potentials to rise to the top. How do people stay to the bottom? By placing them in these psychological box. Not only is it psychological, but it's basically once it becomes psychological, because it comes with a vision, it comes with a pretty much a vision or some sort of thought that man basically creates and make it physical. So what happens is that some sort of evil entity created this mental, dysfunctional, chaotic situation where they wanted to basically plant these seeds in certain communities and environments in order to keep basically the poor people poor and stagnant, and pretty much keep you under control, and to keep you in this psychological, physical box, so that you don't rise to the top, so that you continue to basically repeat these cycles, be conformed to your environment, and be conformed to the individuals in your environment, within your environment, whether it's inside your home or outside your home, concerning, you know, your neighbors, the school system, whatever it is that your community has to offer. These are parts of that entire structure that is basically built to keep certain individuals at the bottom of the percentage, so that they won't rise to the top and know their true potential. So if you put them in these basically psychological boxes, where it's basically inside these communities or whatever, and they have no resources whatsoever, and there's liquor store, but there is no after school activities, there's no proper school system that is there, so they're not getting the education that they need, they're not basically getting, you know, the supplies that they need in that community. And it's basically planned that way due to some sort of wicked entity that started with a thought. So with some sort of thought, you know, like that Pinky in the brain, what are we gonna do? We're gonna take over the world. So some wicked entity decided, hey, this is how I'm gonna take over the world, and I'm gonna try and try and try, and I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna plant these seeds in different places, and I'm gonna continue to plant these plantations, and I'm gonna continue to do these things as time go on, and nobody's gonna know, because we're gonna provide bread, we're gonna provide this, we're gonna provide the alcohol, because they love to drink, they love to smoke, they love cigarettes, they love this, they love that. So let's provide these things in these communities, because that is life, and life is rich, and whatever you want, you can get it. But everything that we want is not necessarily good for us, and it can basically take us down, you know. So when we are basically feeding into these traps that was planted by wicked entities, we become the prey, and some people end up going insane, or basically being caged in. And as a student with my bachelor's in criminal justice, they have this thing where they say, you know, what they say about first-time offenders, they always come back. And for a very long time, I was like, you know, no, not for a very long time. When I was younger, I pretty much knew, like, it made sense to me, because I had, like, you know, uncles, and yeah, pretty much uncles, one in particular, who constantly kept getting, you know, incarcerated. I was basically raised in an environment where, of course, like I said, if seeds are planted there, and that is being monitored by those individuals, those entities that build that construct, then, you know, and it's regulating, and it's, you know, basically people are going to fall into it, because they're not going to see it for what it is. And that's what I've been talking about, you know, the last couple of weeks with that, you know, the deep sleep situation. Because when you are constantly getting fed sweets, it's like you don't see what's inside the candy. You don't see that it's artificials in there, because it tastes so good on your tongue. You know, it goes down so good. It makes you feel so great. Trust me, I know, because younger, I used to eat like a bunch of chocolate before I went to the school. Like, my peoples will vouch for me, and they will tell you, like, I only speak the truth, what I know, not what I don't know, what I've experienced, not what I did not experience. Because I don't have to look in a book and stuff like that all the time, because I've lived through this thing called life. I've actually seen it. I've actually experienced it, and I want to share it with you, so that you know to look for these signs. Because listen, time is of the essence. Okay, time is of the essence, and I can't afford to play these games anymore. I gotta basically tell it to you like it is. These bots, whether you know it or not, because the reality is a lot of people don't know it. Because if they did know it, then you wouldn't see it continuously, you know what I'm saying, increasing and overflowing, where they're falling into the traps. So yeah, pretty much, yeah, with no resources and all that good stuff, that's what basically happens. This video, psychological box, physical box. Don't think that just because prisoners or people that's incarcerated, they're inside this cage like some of the animals, which they say, you know, animals go in cages. If animals go in cages, why do you put people in cages? Why do you put them in boxes, you know, in prisons where they're not basically, what are they there for? Because in reality, the majority of them, they're not basically getting the actual help they need. Because why put people in jail for little stuff like petty crimes, where in reality, because right now, and I'm referring to, because I know these things, like I said, because I've experienced these things, and I'm talking about my baby father in particular, who has been incarcerated for going on 18 years. So yeah, those are the type of things that I don't like to talk about. And so that's why this took me a very, very long time. So, I don't even know what I was saying. This video today, I find it, I'm like, I hate talking about stuff like this for the simple fact is that this touches home for me personally. So my thing is, you have individuals who get locked up for crimes. Sometimes it's crimes that they did not commit. That's not up to you to decide whether somebody is guilty or not. That's up to the court and the system to decide that. What happened if the system is discriminating against, you know, certain individuals, black people, or whatever the case is? You know, what if the system is basically built to basically keep these people down that I've been talking about concerning these planted seeds in these communities? So what happens now when these people who are innocent go to court, you know, because sometimes people deserve to basically, you know, get basically time in prison for the crime they commit, if they committed the crime. But what happened to these laws and these, you know, these things that are set in place? You know, innocent until guilty. Instead, it's the other way around. Guilty until you are financially equipped to prove that you are basically innocent. You know, so I mean, what happened to these things set in place? And even if you are not financially there, because if you know what you know, and you know that you are telling the truth and you are honest about, you know, your what you're saying, and the court basically is doing the right thing and they're honest, you know, with the way that the system is built, then it should not be a problem concerning that, right? It should be simple. It should be natural. It should flow naturally. However, it's tampered. It's tampered and it's orchestrated a certain way to basically keep, you know what I'm saying, those certain individuals down to the ground, like I stated before. You know, that percentage, planting those seeds so they can fall into that trap. And once you basically don't even see that trap, then you end up in it. It's hard for you to basically come out, because think about it. Once you basically get booked, you're in the system. Nobody, your family, nobody can basically help or assist you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody but God, okay? And I'm gonna say God because everybody's situation is different. Yes, people go in there and they have God in them and they trust God and whatever. I don't know to what extent and how they operate, because I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for an entire nation or any other countries in the world, because the reality is we have individuals in society who always want to talk for a whole group of people, a whole country. Like, I mean, come on, I can speak for myself. You know, people who are alive can speak for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Human beings can speak for themselves. I see a bunch of madness going on with this alien stuff. I never could understand, why are you calling people aliens, and why are you calling people like the difference between citizens and non-citizens, these psychological boxes, you know, that people continue to feed into. And then when you approach them concerning it, they're like, well, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. No, because, you know, 15 years ago in 1900, yeah, that's the way it was, and that's the way it is. So that means that we're continuing to repeat a cycle here, right? Okay, cool. I understand that. So I'm basically telling you, if we're repeating this cycle, you have to basically learn about these patterns. You have to learn about these cycles. You have to educate yourself concerning the history. And people will say that every year, know your history, know your history. It's a mystery. It is a mystery. You have to know your history because you have to know where you are and where you're going. And as a youngin, when I was younger, like I did not understand that. I was just like, why do I have to basically go back to 1900 long and learn about like slavery and stuff like that? We're not living in slavery no more. Ain't no slave around here. I used to think that as a child. I'm like, but then I learned as I walked throughout life, I saw certain things. I would see certain things. I saw, like as a child, I would see a lot of things. That's the point. So in life, you learn and you grow, like I said before. So I saw, and then, it's not until 2020, I had to basically go back to history. I'm telling you what I know, not what I don't know. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to always go back to history because sometimes we forget. Sometimes we forget, especially at a time like this where you're getting all these artificials and everything is just, you got to pick through what's real and what's fake because you're consuming stuff. You don't know if the water is clean. You don't know if the food is right. You don't know if the air is polluted. You don't know if the sun is shining. Even though it looks like it's shining, it's cray. It's a little bit like, bonkers. And I was watching that this morning. I had I felt like I wanted to watch Saturday cartoons, so I was looking for Tailspin Rescue Rangers and couldn't find it, but then I ended up finding it afterwards. But I was like going back to bonkers, and then I couldn't keep my attention because I had to create videos. But yes, life will teach you. Life will teach you. What am I trying to say? These psychological box, these physical box, all it starts with a thought, and then it's basically placed. You can create your own story. This is your stage. Whatever you want in this life, yes, you can have it, but you cannot be consumed to the things of this world. You can't be conformed to the things of this world. You have to be transformed with the renewing of your mind, because if you're not changed or transformed with the renewing of your mind, what you see and what you encounter might defeat you if you're not mentally equipped and mentally strong to fight this battle. So I had to basically come out. I had to come out of my skin and come out of my dwelling. I have to come out of who I am because I have to basically help people because they're drowning. People need help. They don't need trash to eat. They don't need listening to trash. Whatever negativity, whatever thing that may basically put down a man and not build him up. They didn't need that. So yes, I had to jump out there. I had to share my story because we are one. I can relate. And even if I can't relate, I understand, because your pain matters. Your story matters. Your trauma matters. But don't stay down there. Build up. No. Go back to the pages. It's okay to go back to yesterday. It's okay to go back to that memory in order to clean and to purge and to release. And you don't have to grab everybody to, release anything. You can release it. I release it with God. I don't know if you want to release it with whoever you want to release it with, or if you want to release it with yourself, that's fine. I'm releasing it by myself too. Duh. Because I am one with God. And forgive me for saying duh. Because some people, I have to learn how to go about my approach. But perhaps that was for somebody in the back who I'm repeatedly trying to, let it register, and people will continue to be what God created them to be individually. Don't fall into the traps. Just because people are incarcerated don't mean that they're trash. Don't listen to what you see on TV. Everything is basically misconstrued. You got to take it with a grain of salt, baby. You got to take it with a grain of salt, because there's so many lies in between the truth. I was thinking yesterday, I was like, last year in 2020, so many people were fearful of Trump, and they still are fearful with him or whatever. And, he's just a man. But I don't know how that works. Let me move on from that. So people was fearful concerning him. So that basically changed how their natural order is basically thinking for themselves. So they started to listen out to outside forces. Oh my gosh, who to vote for? Who should I vote for? I don't know where to turn to. So you started listening, and people started listening to celebrities, because celebrities were saying, you know, vote for Biden, because Biden had, you know, the black chick Kamala, and Kamala, you know, she's like, oh, they're not trying to take off your TikToks, because, you know, a lot of people were voting to not get their TikToks taken off and all this other foolishness, because, you know, they want to take their pictures and online. But in reality, a lot of people are blind, and a lot of people are uninsured. They don't have insurance. People are dying, real life hungry, yet nobody's seeing the bigger picture in this. All you can see is that, oh, this simple man hates me. This simple man hates me. That man probably don't even have a decent size. Like, I don't even understand it. Like, that makes no sense to me, but that's neither here or there. The point is, when I saw how people can easily be lured, like, it's easy to manipulate people. If I wanted to be like filthy rich, it's easy to manipulate people like they were manipulated in 2020, where you were basically where a lot of people were directed in the wrong path due to they were looking outside of themselves for help. So a lot of people were led astray in that direction due to the fear that was basically thrown at you. All the things, all the lies. Oh, it's you, it's you. Oh, you're in danger, you're in danger. It's your skin, it's your skin. You're in danger. You know, it's the vaccine, and you have to be the first one. You have to be the first one. It wouldn't be nothing without you, black people. It wouldn't be nothing without you. And this is not about race, because listen, it's not about colors. It's about the psychological chaotic order that these entities have created with just that thought in order to plant that seed to make it reality. So due to the fear in 2020 and how man can easily be lured and led to deceit, it reminded me yesterday when I was reading the Bible. I was like, yeah, last year, so many people, they was like, you know, vote for Biden, not Trump, not Trump. And then, you know, I actually had people at the polls, people were approaching me while I was coming out my car and my child. And they were approaching us, telling us to vote for Biden and stuff like that, shoving it down our throat. I mean, literally, I was getting like 20 mails every single day, literally. So this is why you're killing the trees, right? You're killing the trees. You can't breathe if you kill the trees. Read, people, read. If there are no trees, you can't breathe. Yet you got all this mail coming in, 20 mail a day telling me, black people, like, you got to vote. This is the most important time for you to vote, stuffing it down your throat. Is this what happened back there in Africa when somebody basically was manipulated into thinking that, you know what I'm saying, some wicked person was basically for them when they was basically not? So then you signed the contract and hey, there's your life, because you believed the lie that was in front of you. You believed all the sweet candy that was covered in shit. It was shit in that candy, and you didn't even notice it. You didn't smell it. Not one thing. It was strong. It was so strong. I've never seen it before in my life. So it goes back to just that thought, this seed, that thing that comes about physically, those plants and those in environments. So then you have these people who go to jail just because they are in those environments and they're around certain individuals who, you know, are basically not for them. But later down the line, we don't know that till later down the line, obviously. What am I trying to say? Just because somebody gets incarcerated does not mean that they should be mistreated in society. I feel as though if somebody paid their time, spend their time in jail, whatever it may be, they should be welcomed into society, right? So the world wants you to believe, so it should be naturally. I believe it should be that way. However, individuals in society don't believe that. The system don't believe that, because it should not have built this construct where, you know, oh, if you are an offender, or if you basically a first-time offender or whatever, if you get locked up, it makes it harder for you to get a job. It makes it harder for you to go back to school. And I used to work at the youth development center for boys. So I know that, you know, when these boys came out of the system, they couldn't go back to school. They had to go to, like, you know, some other sort of program. And at times they didn't go to some sort of program. The majority of the times they were basically, have to be placed in, a workplace or something like that. They would have to be provided some sort of outlet to a certain extent, depending on who that individual is. Some of them, they just walked out there with nothing. What did they learn on the inside? Absolutely nothing. What did they do on the inside? Absolutely nothing. What did the teachers do on the inside? Absolutely nothing. But what did the parents get out of that? Some of them. What did they get? A peace of mind knowing that their children were safe and confined. Safe and confined in a cage behind a door where they can only come out for reflection at a certain time, where they basically got fed box food. What was the point in that? I didn't see it. So I had to basically break away from it, because then I became in a cage where I basically didn't feel free, because I had to watch the things that was surrounding me. And that was basically a lot of people watching the destruction, feeding into the destruction, not saying anything to the destruction, not correcting it, not teaching these beautiful babies, because that's what they are, beautiful babies, stuck in situations because they're trying to survive. Because the mother, like I said, it goes back with these communities. The mother is basically working because the father then got incarcerated in certain situations. Other situations, the father is not there. It just depends on who an individual or what their upbringing was. Determines their circumstances and how they handle it and why they ended up in those type of situations. But they're just boys. They're white boys, they're black boys, they're all different types of boys with different experiences and different traumas. It gets emotional for me because I don't like to talk about stuff like this. These are the things that I keep to myself. And that's why I continue to be the change in the world. And I want to feed people good things, or whatever the case is, because so many people are left not feeding good things. People have babies upon babies, and it's okay because God said to be fruitful and multiply. But what happens when you don't have anything to multiply with? What happens when you don't have any fruit, nutritious fruit, not the box ones? So when you think this is a safe space where you can just, oh, you know what, my son is, at such and such place, so he's much more safer there than the streets. And a lot of people have that mentality. And so many of these boys are smart, but so many of these boys are followers, but the majority of them were followers. There were one or two leaders. But the followers, oh my gosh, it made me sad. It made me so sad. And it makes me sad to even think about it now, because that's what life is. Life is filled with so many followers and not enough leaders. You were created to be a leader. You were created to be a creator. Psychological box. These beautiful beings, you know what happens to them from child when they don't have the help and the assistance and support they need? When they come into society, the system tells them, hey, you can't go back to school. So then they end up getting a job. Some of them end up going back on the streets. Some of them end up going back into the same environment that they came from, that brought them in that same predicament in the first place. So what happens? And so, it's just a lot. But with these people going through these things, because if you're going through your own personal situation in life, or if your family or if somebody you know is going through something, you should know that humanity, everybody is going through something, because life is not perfect. Life is not perfect. Life is beautiful. However, the people in it, when you encounter certain people, they can make it so chaotic and so not simple at all. But it truly is. It truly is. However, it all goes back to that upbringing. So a couple of years ago, you know what? Bump that. So don't you think like due to these individuals facing these things, shouldn't we treat them a little bit better? Shouldn't the systems that's supposed to help them, because if you put these people behind bars and you're supposed to be helping them and they're not even giving that help inside, that makes it a mockery, right? You're a hypocrite. These things are just basically words, no actions whatsoever. And it reminds me of what I was reading earlier concerning the vaccine and military younger soldiers who are refusing to take the vaccine. And you should have the right to basically refuse things that you don't want inside of you, because this is your body. You are not property, but you become property when you have to be forced to, oh, if I don't basically take this vaccine, you mean to tell me I can't be in the military anymore? Oh, if I can't take this vaccine, you mean to tell me I can't travel? Someone basically tried to travel and the airport told them, hey, you can't travel or whatever because you have to, some situation. But basically the point is the monitoring, the controlling. The minute the test started a while ago, a long time ago. But however, let's go back to 2020 real quick. The minute you decided to believe inside lies, what happens is that the test is basically approved. The test is qualified, approved, and confirmed when people are basically policing other individuals to continue to feed into it, you know, projecting that into the world. So, yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Not only is it a lie to say, well, these boys or these men are going to jail to, you know, I mean, literally, that's what they're going to do, time, because that's what you're doing. You're doing time, and you have to basically figure out ways to get past those time. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's reading or working or whatever, you know what I'm saying, that is inside that facility. People are basically going to do it. But in reality, it really has nothing to offer but to keep people in this psychological box mentally, to break them down so that they feel less than they really are. In reality, we are all somebody. Years ago, I personally, I can relate to that due to the simple fact is that I've had to deal with that. I've had to deal with, you know, my daughter's dad basically being incarcerated years ago. So I don't like to talk about it, but I'm over here like, yeah, I don't like to talk about stuff like that. And I guess I need to talk about it because that's part of the healing and the releasing, like I tell you guys about. So what's bothering me? What's bothering me, Spirit? What's bothering me, Spirit? Speak, speak, speak. Suppressing. That's what I'm suppressing. I'm suppressing. Although I am strong, I am also weak when it comes to situations like this, because I am very much passionate when it comes to humanity and people being free to express themselves and live comfortably in their own skin and their own mind, and free to have the universe just embrace them with love. However, it is not so. It goes back to what I was talking about earlier when I say everybody makes mistakes, but the way that we as individuals punish people, we should not. I want to take this minute out to thank Julian, for the simple fact is that I would not have, you know, seen these type of things had he not placed it in my heart to do February prayer month for men. And I had to basically heal in the process, or whatever the case is. I had to basically forgive my daughter's father because I felt like he basically left us. I felt like I was this single mom, and, you know, I thought we was going to be together forever. And, I loved him, and I felt like he was my first love. However, it was, I noticed later down the line, it was not love, it was lust, because in reality, I don't know him like that. Not even to be funny, but the reality is we often sleep with people we don't know. Sometimes even we're in relationships now and we sleep with people that we don't know. Or you might not be in a relationship and you might just be sleeping with people, which is very deadly for you. Detrimental indeed, in so many ways and form. However, what is suppressing me? Oh my gosh, speak to me, speak to me, speak to me. These things are hard for me to say. The simple fact is that I was basically a single mother, a young mother. The system, oh my gosh, they raped him. They raped Black people. They raped Black men, giving them time and long sentence, taking them away from their children. Oh my gosh, letting these women become single. When they say the good men are in jail, you think they was lying? There are actually good men in jail. You know why? Because they made decisions of the past. They made those decisions when they fell into that trap, and they often don't see that till way after the fact, till years later down the line. And sometimes we don't see things till later down the line. I'm a living proof of that, because it took me having to be on Clubhouse and going into the conservative group with Julian in order to see the errors of my way, that I've been taking it the wrong way the whole time. That this man, that my baby father, was also suffering the trauma of not having his father around, that his mother too raised him single. And later down the line, she passed. While he was incarcerated, he couldn't even go see his own mother. He couldn't even go to the funeral. Oh my gosh, the things people face. So yes, I am not okay. I'm not okay because other people are not okay. When I'm dwelling in peace, when I'm dwelling in God, all is well within me. However, I am very sympathetic when it comes to other individuals in society and their hurt and their wants and their needs. And I just can't see why it's so hard to treat people fairly, and it hurts me. And I'm definitely that lady in Queen Latifah's movie, Bumblebees, the chick that basically, the little, the youngest sister, I believe she was youngest, and she basically, couldn't take life because she felt everything. And that's what people, they feel life. However, they embrace it with love. No matter what pain you were going through, oh my God, love can cover that pain. Love can heal that. So yeah, those type of things. And then when I saw my brother, oh my God, when I saw my brother Julian, when I saw this king, oh my gosh, and when I see other kings getting violated, when I see my white men being judged, because that's what they are. These are men. There are good seeds and there are bad seeds, but there are no colored seeds. There are no colored seeds. Do you hear me? There are no colored seeds. If you are a man, you are a man. If you are a woman, you are a woman. If you are a child, you are a child. If you are a dog, you are a dog. If you are apple, you are apple. If you are orange, you are orange. If you are a tree, oh glory to God, let it breathe. Don't cut the trees and send me mails and all this other stuff. Those type of things are pointless, and those are part of the test of life, to test a man. To make a man think like, hey, what's really going on? I blamed him for a very long time. I didn't see until Julian brought it to our attention. And then I started to cogitate like I always do, because I care about my brothers and my sisters. I care about their hurt and their pains, because so many people will leave them astray. So many people will stay there in their corners and watch them suffer and watch them in pain. So yes, I can speak and I can relate, because I too have suffered that same pain every single day. Unknowingly, of course, because everything is well within me as long as I continue to dwell in peace and love. However, I do have a child, and throughout life, I had to basically think like, oh my God, had I known what I'd known, I would have thought about it. I would have done things differently. But the thing about life is, some things happen naturally, and we can't basically choose who we fall in love with. We can't choose who we hang with. We just basically can vibe with people. We just connect with people. And it's all love. It's all that energy. And I don't care who says energy don't matter and it's not real. It's definitely real. And I'm thankful for all my experiences. However, it wasn't an easy road. It wasn't an easy road, and it's not an easy road for a lot of people. What made it easy for me was God. What made it easy for me was Him. Knowing Him, getting close to Him. Knowing and seeing the goodness of Him through people in every place, in every space. Welcoming Him and embracing Him, embracing the Holy Spirit that continues to surround me and this powerful energy that man cannot see. So I had to stay close to God, and He continues to set me free, that I be able to have the victory. So in all this process throughout life, I've always had Him, and He's always had me, surrounded me. Oh my God, causing His light to shine upon me. And somebody else, oh my God, I'm going to say somebody else is going to think, well, hey, it's not real, whatever. And it's okay for you to feel that way. But sometimes when you don't know certain things and people fear what they don't know, and it goes back to 2020 when people was pushing you and stuffing down your throat that you were the problem, that your skin color was the problem, that didn't tell you nothing. That's scary. That is scary. So when people telling you, oh, Jesus, and you're intimidated by Jesus, and did they not kill Him and crucify Him? You already done Him, right? You done Him like you did with a lot of individuals in life. So why is it you intimidated by somebody who is basically supposed to be dead, right? How does that work? It's a psychological thing. How do you so then, because people say, oh, it's basically white structure and it's white Jesus and blah blah blah, people gonna see what they see and they're gonna say what they want and they're gonna believe what they want to believe. I never for 1 minute thought that Jesus was white, but hey, that's neither here or there. And people, like I said, they're gonna think and they're gonna believe what they want to believe. So the thing is, if you heard last year, hey, you're the problem, stuff it down your throat, vote for this person, vote for Kamala, because yeah, I'm the Jamaican, and and you think it looks cute, then you hear about this Sasito, and you hear about this song, and he's trying to reach out to the Latino culture and whatever, and it's like it's a sex song, so that don't basically hit you like click. So how do you let these people and these entities force these things down your throat? So it reminded me yesterday of Jesus and how, people like, no, not that white image and blah, blah, blah. It's just an image, just like anything you can print out online. Any man can basically put their face in, like, come on, get real, but why are you fearing something that's supposed to be invisible? If it's not real, why are you focusing so much attention on it? Like, keep it moving, keep it pushing. If you don't believe in it, if you don't basically trust in it, if you don't trust in the Bible too, why are you still quoting it? Because you can't escape it. You can't escape the truth. God is in everything that we do. You're going to continue to come back and reflect, and you're going to continue to say those words. You're going to continue to say those scriptures because there's no escaping it. You can try to run around it. Yeah. Because that's what happened, and that's what man would do. And that's what I told you earlier. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed with the renewing of your mind. Don't let your mind deceive you because you want to basically pick and choose and watch the things that people want to feed you. Watch the things that people, pretty much want to feed you. Know what to eat. Everything that people gives you on a plate. You don't have to digest it. You can always say, hey, I'm good. Back to this situation. Yes. There are a lot of people, a lot of mothers who are not okay. They're not okay. They're not okay. Their fathers are gone. They have to pay to basically see the fathers. They have to pay to send mail. They have to pay to for commissary. They have to basically pay to talk to them. It's only increasing. And they have to basically pay for them to be in the in the situation. Every day you're paying for a family member to be there. Everything cost. Every single thing under the sun cost, and it's only increasing. Yesterday I went to get something out of the cash point machine, and usually that was free for me. All of a sudden it's saying $2. To pay a bill, you got to pay a fee on top of paying your bill. So that means you're getting punished on top of that. Seeds planted just by your thought to basically keep you down, to keep you dependent, to keep you under control. Everything is a test in life. When you make it easy instead of asking questions, when you stop questioning things and you just take it, that means you're like a dummy. You know, like those dummy we saw like back in the days on those shows. I'm not even trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to be rude, but you remember those dummies, and they had them, and they, like, you know, you think they basically, those were signs. They didn't just create those dummies, just, you know, those were basically letting you know, don't be a puppet, don't be a dummy. You can choose to be a follower, you can choose to be a leader. I was saying about the military situation with the vaccine, you know, the whole thing about control, man. Everything is control. Everything is control. You either have the right to do it your way and you can lose a lot, or you have the right to do it their way. Because if you're not an owner of your fate, you're renting someone else's destiny, somebody else's borrowed life, somebody else's substance, somebody else's home, somebody else's car, you know, equity, equity, equity. What do you do when somebody doesn't want you to win? You go harder, you win, you win, you win, and you keep fighting. Obstacles are worth fighting. Life is worth living. It was not an easy road. I can talk about this. The reason why I'm talking about this is because my brother, when I see him, and they basically was like bashing him, like, we have to be willing to speak up for one another. When people are incarcerated, that does not mean that they're a monster. Like, you know, these news media and everybody is trying to basically proclaim, you don't even know these people in real life, and you're trying to put them in the same psychological box as the system is trying to put them in each and every day. So after they spend time in this psychological caged in box, they come out into society, which is supposed to be quote unquote welcoming, but it's not even welcoming. The community is not welcoming them. Their family is not welcoming them. Their friends, some of them are no longer welcoming them, unless they're like, you know, those type of bad influence friends. Of course, they're going to welcome you because they want you to come back inside the trap and get basically be confound and conform to that same environment. So that's where your thinking comes, you know, in handy, and it's vital. It's vital. I want you to win. I want our kings and our queens to come out of this daggone insanity. This illusion. Stop feeding into these traps. Stop feeding into these traps. These are just words. These are useless words without actions. How can we be having all these borrowed monies, 1-something trillion, 1.5 trillion or something like that Joe Biden just basically set into place? Like, how is it that you're trying to basically get vaccine for these immigrants or whatever, right? These undocumented. Listen, I was an immigrant too, so don't even go there. I can talk about these type of stuff, okay? So, I mean, unless your own heart convict you, I'm good. I talk freely because I want somebody to receive so that you see and not fall into this trap. What was I saying, man? How are you basically trying to make sure that undocumented immigrants get vaccine shots and saying, oh, you're going to give them food? This is what the article said. I'm going to give them food, and they don't need to worry about getting locked up or getting ICE called on them and this, that, and the third. How are you so considerate concerning undocumented citizens? But what about the real citizens that live in this country? And I'm not even talking in a selfish manner, because like I said, I was born in the islands and raised there too, you know? So it's neither here or there. But the thing is, how is that logically, how does that make sense? And a lot of people are gonna say, well, hey, well, that's, you know, that's just the way it is. How are you basically feeding all of these people, and at the same time everybody should eat, period. I believe everybody should eat. These are simple stuff, basic needs that people should have automatically. I'm not even off of that other situation because it was actually just made, or maybe it wasn't even made. Maybe it was just sitting there just for a certain amount of time in order to basically be presented, to making it seem like it was, given time. But the thing is, if you have so many people hungry in your own country, if you have so many people that are not insured with medical assistance in this country, if you have so many people trying to basically pay students' loans, if you have so many single mothers and so many single fathers and so many children out here hungry and all this stuff that's going on in your own country, how is it that you are so focused on opening and breaking down certain walls and creating certain laws and more useless things on document just to control people and to keep you in this psychological box? They have a lot of time on their hand. What kind of time do you have on your hand? Because God's plan is going to happen with or without you. And you must know that love is going to win this race. These demons, they will tremble in this season because life and death is in the power of the tongue, and please use your tongue wisely to tread them down, because you have the power as long as you let it enter, okay? Let love enter within you, because we need this breakthrough. It's not even, it's mind-blowing. How are you basically dedicating to all this time to external forces? Other countries are external forces. Yes, we should be able to help other countries as well, but how are you going to basically be helping other people outside of your home when your home is basically breaking down and your home is on fire? Like, I don't get that. How are you taking out all this money? It's for you to basically, a lot of people, it's for them to become dependent. And when I say you, I'm not individually because I'm not calling names here. So hopefully people understand, because every single thing is like, oh, did she say that? Blah, 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 whatever. So the thing is, it's so many traps. It is so many traps. When a man basically, I'm going back and forth. Just stick to me. Stick with me. Stick with me. Stick with me. I'm going back and forth. When a man goes to prison, he should not be penalized by society if he already spent his time and he's trying to live right. That's the same thing when people are trying to change their lives. People always try to use it against them. Let people speak freely. I'm learning that too every day, because sometimes I just know what somebody's going to say. So I'd be like, and I shouldn't do that. I'm still working on that. But some other person, they're opening their mouth concerning something that don't even make sense. Something that person wasn't going to even say. You're trying to tell another man or woman who they are. People can speak for themselves. Give them the mic so that they can. It's only one mic. I've never seen two mics attached like this. It's probably possible because they're connected to some sort of stand, but I've never seen in the store two mics attached automatically. You have to connect them to some sort of stand, but it was not connected like this. So when you have one mic, pass it down to the person that needs to basically share their story and whatever it is that they're trying to bring across. I believe if people need your assistance with something, they will probably ask. I mean, that's the right thing to do, because a closed mouth does not get fed. Let me wrap this up. What am I trying to say? It's not okay. It's not okay. Stop treating people like this. Stop treating people who already faced their time in jail like trash. They're already paying for it. The system makes them pay daily. These students, when they're like 12, 9 years old, they come out, they can't even go back to school. They have to go to some sort of other program, which basically is not in that whole, that same structure as before. It's different. A lot of these things on paper. And another thing is what I was going to say concerning that, helping undocumented immigrants and stuff like that, citizens, aliens, whatever they call it, because every minute is something switched up just to basically make it cute. It's still a box. It's still separation. So it's like, oh my gosh. They said everyone should be given a second chance in life. Why is it that some of these men aren't given a second chance when it comes to life? Why is it that we hold their charges against them? Why is it that people don't see the errors of their ways? We can always change this game as long as we are true to ourselves and stop entertaining these lies. Don't be blind.